Welcome to Clap Back Get the Facts podcast, where we are providing you with the information you need to know about what's politically impacting Black women across the country. In a world filled with mis and disinformation, we provide you with the real. If you're a Black woman, representing Black women, or in the community with Black women, we are here to clap back and give you the facts. Thank you for joining episode 19, Project 2025, Put the Word on the Streets. We'll be sharing the facts and dropping gems. So let's get ready to clap back at the facts.
Welcome everybody. You know, it has been a long year. Can you believe we are at episode 19 already? And we still clapping back. And so guess what we're talking about today? We are going to talk about Project 2025. We want to put the word on the street. You know, I know you've been hearing a lot about Project 2025. It has been on everybody's list, especially when Taraji P. Henson was on stage and she said, Project 2025, Google it. And the Google metrics shot up about Project 2025. So we're going to talk about that tonight. But before we get started, I'm not here by myself. I want to bring to the collab backstage my good partner in crime, Holly Holiday. What's going on, sister?
Hey girl, hey. I'm so excited to be sitting in this part of the seat because you are definitely the resident expert on Project 2025. I have my thoughts, but I think this is definitely your show. So I'm glad to be here with you.
Well, you know, I have been talking about Project 2025 basically every weekend. And so I jump on somebody's Zoom and try to bring them a word. And, you know, I hope at this point people have heard about Project 2025. But if not, let me just give a quick overview of what it is and why it's important.
Yeah.
So Project 2025 is a presidential transition project. And it actually has 4 parts. A lot of people have only heard about that big mandate part, but there's also 4 parts to Project 2025. It's spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation. But also, there's more than 100 conservative organizations that have contributed to this project. And so they've got a plan, and their plan includes this mandate for leadership. It's this huge 900, 800, 900 pages, because, you know, they've done some remixing of that bad boy since people have started talking about it.
Hello.
But that's a huge mandate. They also have a plan, 180-day plan. So if they get their person into the White House, they have a plan of what they're going to immediately do starting on day 1.
Yeah.
And they're going to use all the tools that they can use without Congress. So they're just going to be in there doing that. The other thing that they have done is they basically created a LinkedIn for conservative crazies. You know, when Trump was in the White House before, one of the reasons he wasn't able to do all of the things that he was going to do is because there were people in there saying, now, bro, you know, we can't do that. No, there's some Republicans that believe in the rule of law. And they were like, you know, we can't do that. You know, we really can't do, man, come on now. But what we have now is a group that they are recruiting specifically to do all the crazy things. And they have put together some training videos, which somebody has found. So you can start to see what that crazy is. So here's the 4 parts of it. They've got the mandate for leadership. That's number 1. They've got this LinkedIn for crazy is what I call it. That's 2, but that's their personnel database. They've got their online education system.
Okay.
That's the third part. And then they've got a playbook that they can quickly roll out. And it's their 180-day playbook. And so those are the big pieces. And, people, Trump and his group, now that we've started talking about it, they're trying to disavow it, But I tell folks in researching this, the Heritage Foundation has put forth a mandate every time.
Yeah.
So this ain't anything new. And what is interesting is the mandate that they've been doing this for about 40 years, and they send their recommendation to Republican administrations. When Trump was in office in 2016, he implemented nearly 64% of the Heritage Foundation's recommendations. So this ain't new. He want to say he don't know. All his people work for them.
Yep.
Already implemented more than 50% of their recommendations before we knew about it. And you think he's not going to do it this time? Who do you think we are? Boo-boo the fool.
Well, listen, and that's the part I want. Absolutely. And I really think it's important to understand that Project 2025 is really the latest iteration in an extremely conservative anti-democracy agenda that used to be pushed by a small contingency of Republicans, and actually I think a small contingency of Americans who ultimately found a space and a place and a home in the Republican Party that has been happening really since the 60s. We can see the tenets and roots of this going back to anti-civil rights legislation and beyond. I also think that we have to, and I love that you said and acknowledge that this is the 2025 version, but that Trump has started to implement tenets of this plan during his original presidency. And again, they found their leader in Trump. But understand that the genius behind this is not coming from Trump, but he has fully adopted it. And despite what he said in the debate, that he really does never read it. I believe he probably has never read it. But it doesn't mean that he hasn't embraced it. It doesn't mean that he isn't following it. And you know that he is because of the people that he has surrounded himself with, both in his presidency and now in his campaign, and particularly those shaping his policy, very much come out of this ideology. And the other thing I want to say is, even though Trump is not president now, we still need to be looking very critically at the Republicans in the Congress who are right now considering the 2025 budget and beyond, and are looking to slash spending in housing, particularly fair housing, looking to reduce regulatory protections like the ones that keep food and water safe, and are always and perpetually for the last, frankly, at least for the last 10 years, have been looking for opportunities to cut education budgets. All of these are footprints and steps that lead to the ultimate outcomes predicted or suggested in the Project 2025 plan.
Well, one of the great things about them putting this out and us amplifying it is we now know their plan and they put it in writing.
Yeah.
So, whatever they like to tell us they're not going to do, they put this in writing. And so it's not anymore of that gaslighting. Oh, we don't plan to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
They've already identified a number of things that they could do without any new legislation.
Yeah.
For example, they can cut overtime protection for workers, and that's going to impact about 4.3 million workers. They can stop the efforts to lower the prescription drug prices. They can just cut that off. They can limit access to food assistance.
Yep.
That's going to impact about 40 million people,
Yep.
21 million households. They can just get rid of Head Start. They don't need Congress to do that. They can get rid of Head Start. That's 1 million kids impacted.
Yep.
They can get rid of the American Rescue Plan program, not what passed, but the programs that came from it.
That's
And
right.
that's almost about a 250,000 jobs right there.
Absolutely. I mean, look at, you mentioned workers and unions,
Mhm.
also think about the fact that they're the parts of Project 2025 that would undermine registered apprenticeships and put people who are seeking alternatives to college out of business. From destroying apprenticeship programs. I also think about the things we're already seeing in rural America, which, by the way, Black people do live in rural America.
Yes, they do.
As do Latinos, as do LGBTQ, as do a diverse group of people are rural. Rural is not a code for white Americans. And, we're seeing hospitals closing. We're seeing, corporate moving in and deciding that healthcare is not worth it in rural areas. We look at, and Lord, don't even get me started on conservation. Now, I never knew that I would be the poster child for environmentalism, but I have to tell you that reading some of the things that they want to do to the environment, including destroying national marine sanctuaries, repelling the Antiquities Act, which protects the lands of national monuments. And don't even get me started on what they want to do to expand offshore drilling, which would threaten ocean health, create pollution, oil spills. Forget about what it's going to do to coastal economies on tourism, fishing, renewable energies, and God forbid we should say this because it is real, exacerbating climate change. And I just think that what we got to understand is, it's not just conservatism; it's the authoritarianism that is really at play. It's the thing that says we want to have a small group of people control everything and take the rights and freedoms away from as many people as possible so that they are all living and making decisions the way we would have them make it.
Well, you know how both you and I just went through a whole bunch of stuff that they could do without Congress. So
Yeah.
imagine they actually get Congress,
Oh,
what they
Lord.
can do as well. But here's the thing, because, we were talking about all of this stuff. All of that stuff touches somebody we know.
Yes.
And when talking about Project 2025, talking about the groups that it impacts and
Yes.
stuff that it does
Yes.
actually helps. So there was a group that did some research, and we'll drop the link to this research so y'all can take a look at it. Now, it happened back in July, but it's still some research, because here's what it said. When people start to learn more about Project 2025, when people start to understand that it negatively impacts them, they start, to be concerned about it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh my gosh. What they also think is the more they learn about Project 2025 and the things that it is doing, that they start to think Republicans are focused on the wrong thing. And they also think that when they hear it, They also think that the Republicans would actually do this stuff if they get in power. The research also showed that the more people learn about this, that they believe that it is a reflection of Trump and the Republican Party's values. And I thought, interestingly, the groups that moved the most on this, or one of the groups that moved the most, was independents.
Right.
And so we've got to talk about it. So one of the things I want to do is, because we start to hear about it, but I found a couple of videos that I thought were really smart and savvy messaging, because sometimes you can't be the one to deliver the message, but also you want to find ways to share and reshare and amplify the message. So I want to show you these couple of videos, Holly, because I found them and I thought, well,
let's take a look.
So the first one we're going to show is some brothers having a conversation, and it's a quick conversation. So let's take a look.
Okay.
When you go through Project 2025, I know it has become viral in social media, but I'm going to just throw out two that are so critical. Number one, if you go to public school, when you turn 18, you are automatically enlisted in the military. But if you're in private Christian school, you get to opt out. The majority of our people are in public school. Number two, they want to enlarge the death penalty. Now, these are the same people at the Heritage Foundation that says they pro-life. But who does the death penalty impact? Black and brown people. Number three, because I'm on here with 3 Black men, they want to raise the age of retirement. Black men die earlier than any other demographic in the nation. So if they raise that retirement age, brothers is going to croak out before they can cash out. Number four, they want to dismantle Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. The average Black man who is 7 years older than everybody in this podcast, the average Black man, 7 years older than anybody in this podcast, only goes to the doctor when they go to the emergency room. Number five, very critical, is that they want to defund every college that teaches Black history. If you teach Black history, then you are no longer eligible to receive federal funds. So these are the 5 reasons why it is that you got to vote.
So, Holly, that was smart. It was targeted. He ain't talk about everything. He ain't talk about any of the stuff we actually talked about.
He didn't.
He made it. He took that message and knew who his target audience was, and he brought that message home just for that audience.
Yeah, so, and I think that was amazing to me. I mean, not just amazing, but interesting to me was that he talked about it. It wasn't just that he talked about it, in terms of Black people, but he made it real to them, because as he was talking, what my mind was going to, we already see some of these programs being cut in the state already. We already see that we have limits to Medicaid expansion. We already have that. That's already been threatened, especially if you live in certain states. We already have it so that while it may not be legally, the retirement age hasn't been raised, but because of the cost of living, people are already working longer anyway because their retirements have been stripped. So functionally, these things are already happening. And so what struck me wasn't just the issues that he brought up as it relates to Black men, but frankly, the fact that I think anybody listening to those issues that may be impacted by them sees themselves already struggling. It's not like this is what's going to happen. You can already see many of those things happening right now.
Right. And, like when he started talking about funding of the school, what I started thinking about is, if you teach Black history, what we have seen is that Republicans have been very nebulous. Their definitions expand with what they decide they don't like.
Right.
So it's very quick for us to get caught in a situation. And when he says federal funds, what that means is no Pell Grants. What that means are no student loans. So what that means is folks' children won't be able to go to college, or
think about the devastation that has for HBCUs, which receive a large portion of their percentage of their funding through federal grants, who are already grossly underfunded, which we have now, thank you, President Biden, a referendum that says they should get their money. But imagine what that does to their research programs. Imagine what that does, to their ability to maintain their infrastructure. I mean, not just what it does to the individual student's ability to attend college, but what it does to the actual plant facility and academic program of the college itself. And so this has far-reaching consequences. And let me note, they purposely use Black history as a way to continue to divide us from other communities in America. But if you are watching this or listening to our podcast, and you happen to be Latino, Latina, or you happen to be an Indigenous person, or you happen to be of the Asian Pacific Islander or Native Hawaiian community, do not think that they are not coming for your history too.
Oh, most definitely.
Absolutely.
So that was one video. I got another one.
Oh, good.
So we're going to cue this one up in just a second. But I'm from the Schoolhouse Rock.
Me too.
We needed some more Schoolhouse Rock videos because those were just the best thing. So let's take a look at this Project 2025 song.
Let's do it.
Hey there, who are you? Oh, just the most important document in our country's history. You mean the Constitution? Nope. The Declaration of Independence? Yes, again. The Federalist Papers? The Federalist, what? No, even more important than whatever you just said. Now sit right here and I'll tell you all about me. I'm just a little paper for the ages, a way to set the government straight. A short 887 pages on how to make America great again by forcing through the president's agenda, removing all of those who disagree, replacing with our loyal party members, and reclaim our great country. In sum, give power to the president to authorize the government to legislate morality and wrestle back normality from Marxist ideologies that infiltrate our policies like gender, race, or anything woke. We're gonna abolish the Department of Education, turn the swearing in into a coronation. America's great salvation will arrive with Project 2025. Coronation? You mean like a king? No, it's called the unitary executive theory. Gives the next president unchecked power to do whatever they want. So, a king. Oh, let's not get hung up on semantics. Here's how it's gonna work. Once that we have started the transition, and no one's left to tell us to wait, we'll go through every policy position, get rid of all the language that we hate, like civil rights, diversity, and unions, and pronouns to mention but a few. Defunding any liberal institutions that dare question what we do. I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court. Oh, the Supreme Court. That's a good one. Now, where was I? Abortion will be pretty much illegal, and reproductive rights will be gone. We'll get back to the biblical ideal that a family means a daddy and a mom with kids. Repeal the crazy climate regulations that get in the economy's way. With everyone reporting to the stations on Inauguration Day, when we give power to the president to authorize the government to legislate morality, expelling abnormality like godless ideologies, protecting inequalities like gender, race, and anything woke. We're gonna abolish the Department of Education, convert the melting pot into a Christian nation. The stage is set, and we'll be going live in 2025. I can't seriously say all that. Wanna bet? Come on, let's crack me open.
Page 124.
Make more nuclear weapons.
Page 257.
End the war on fossil fuels.
Page 214.
No more gun violence protections.
Page 298.
Feeding hungry kids at our schools.
Turn to page
Ban
5.
offensive books from the classroom.
563.
Make it hard to register to vote.
Page 449.
Dismantle Medicare.
534.
Kill off the grizzly
Page
bear.
4.
Delete the term sexual orientation, gender equality, awareness of sensitivity, diversity, equity, inclusion, abortion, reproductive health, and reproductive rights out of every rule, regulation, contract, grant, and piece of federal legislation that exists. And that's an actual quote. And that, my friend, is only the beginning of how this makes America great. You'll be so overwhelmed with all the winning that you won't know what you've lost till it's too. Wait! This doesn't sound great at all. No? No, it sounds like a fucking nightmare. Well, I guess if you wanted to, there's still some things you can do to stop it.
Yes.
Like what? Well, if you vote to save democracy and stand against autocracy and tell your friends and family, enough with this insanity. We fought too long to part with these essential civil liberties like privacy and equity and bodily autonomy. And what defines a family? Equality and empathy. And we're not going back, and maybe we can stop this radical abomination. The future all depends on your participation. That's the way democracy will thrive. America was made for you and me, so let's defend our freedom and our dignity. Now raise your voice and let's keep hope alive in 2025. Now vote!
Hey.
That was cool.
I thought that
That
was a
was cool.
some smart messaging. And there are
Yes.
some people out here doing some great work. Those are just two examples of how you can take this content that is so dense and so boring and make it live for people so that they understand how it is going to hurt them.
Absolutely. And I would
That's-
add that, you know, there are a number of organizations that have taken to write summaries, put together fact sheets, message points, talking points that you can read and adapt to whatever your creativity allows. I think as we are having this conversation, what I hope comes out of it is that if you are listening to this and you heard something that is of deep concern to you, figure out how you can talk about that in terms of this election and what this election means, and how to choose candidates, not just at the top of the ticket, because this does very heavily think about what is happening at the presidency. But as we talked about, much of this stuff is happening in states right now. So think about how candidates, each of the candidates that you might have on your ballot, fall along the issue that you might care about. I want to direct people to two things. One, Democracy Forward has a great primer on Project 2025. I also want to shout out the National Urban League has initiated its Stop Project 2025, and also the Center for American Progress, which, by the way, turns 20 this year, has a whole campaign that they're doing about exposing Project 2025. And let me tell you, there's something in there that probably several somethings in there that impact you, impact your family, impact your community. Just don't worry about the 20 things that are there. Find one or two that really resonate with you and get with your people, your network, your community, and share and talk about how the candidates on your ballot line up. And so as we are now inside of 50 days to the election, you know, I want to 48 days. I want and absentee ballots in some states have started to hit doors. Will be an early vote in 2 weeks. This is the time. You can go to Sisters League, sistersvote.org, download a copy of your sample ballot and what is on your ballot, and print it out. Invite some friends over, maybe have some wine, and talk about what positions these candidates have on these very important issues. Because while Project 2025 has primarily been associated with Donald Trump, I want to make sure you understand that many of the candidates that are serving in your community, on your state legislature, in your state House representatives, in your state Senate, that are running for statewide offices, they too subscribe to the Project 2025. And don't let the fact that they're not saying openly that they support Project 2025 make you think that they don't. Look at what they're saying. And if they are people who are about eliminating regulations and protections, attacking freedom and rights, then they are supporting a Project 2025 guidance.
Well, Holly, and that's an excellent point. I want to circle back to something I said at the beginning of our conversation this evening.
Yes, ma'am.
The Heritage Foundation has been around for 40 years.
Yes.
They send their recommendations to the Republican administration, meaning all of the Republicans get it. So it's not a Trump thing. It's a Republican thing.
Thanks for that.
And so it isn't just one person. This is a philosophy. This is an ideology. This is the way they think. And written it down, and this is what they're going to do. Because you can look at a number of things. Go back. The other plans are out there too. You can see what they plan to do, and they've been doing it.
Yeah.
And so we need to talk to people. We need to make it plain and make people understand, or help people understand, how this will negatively impact them and their future. Because it ain't just us right now.
Yes.
The plans that they're putting in place are generational. So we're talking about your grandchildren. We're talking about your great-grandchildren.
Yes.
And so and so forth and so on. And you know, the easiest way, or let me just back up. I'm gonna end with this little quote right here. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we can prevent this from happening. We can prevent this framework from going into place. But what it also means is we need to think about their whole framework, because it means that we need to do some work at our state and local level, because they're implementing versions of this there as well.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. And that's that is, I think, a valiant way to close out our call for today, our podcast for today. Do something, as Michelle Obama said. I think it is so important that we all participate in amplifying these messages. And I want to say, despite the fact that Taylor Swift influenced record-breaking voter registration, tomorrow is Black Voter Day. So take some time tomorrow to register. Make sure somebody that is in your phone book, somebody that you have their cell phone number and can call, check on them and make sure that their registration is intact. Get them registered if they aren't registered. Make sure you check on your Black family. Make sure you check on your neighbors, on folks in your family. Make sure you check on your sisters, your brothers, your friends, your fraternity members, your union members, your church members, to make sure that they are registered to vote, that they have a voting plan, and that you are talking about what's going on in Project 2025. Chantel, I'll let you close us out.
Well, you just did.
Well, there it is then. Then we out. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. Follow us on all your podcast platforms, especially on YouTube.
Look, register to vote. Check your voter registration. And vote early.
Yes.
Vote early. Vote early.
Yes,
vote early.
yes.
So
and we out.
We out.
Thank you for joining us here on Clap Back Get the Facts podcast. We hope that you're leaving feeling more informed and ready to provide others with the facts. We would love to hear your biggest takeaways from this episode, so post the show on your Instagram story and tag us at Sisters Lead. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, please leave a review so others can get some sense of the facts that we're providing. Finally, if you would like to learn more about local resources and other projects we're working on, go to sistersleadsistersvote.org.